So I was starting to say how pleasant it was to pull in today and see all the cars, but I've been fooled by that before. The last time I was here to do I think it was League of Women Voters, I pulled in and the parking lot was absolutely packed. So I parked across the street, came over expecting to see a room full, and there were like 8 to 9 people here. And I said, where are all the cars? And they said, it's mommy and me upstairs. So I guess mommy and me didn't have a meeting today, right? But we do. And it's an important one to have Mr. Devane, who's here on my right, go through the survey that hopefully every one of you did take and explain what the results are. I want to thank Joe Ternullo and his wife, Lisa, for everything they do for our community. Joe has taken the bull by the horns for the seniors. He's chair of the Commission on Aging. There are several members you already met, but it's probably one of the most active Commission on Agings that we've had in a long time. Probably one of the best commissions we had in general, forget aging, in a long time. So I appreciate all their volunteerism because most of you know Ridgefield runs on volunteers, right? I see a lot of people here today who have certainly given of their times and efforts in various capacities throughout our community that have served us well, and I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank you or remind you in the back are these little handouts. I don't know if all of you have them. It's to stay informed, 3 things you can do. But the newsletter, as Joe was mentioning with Karen Gaudian, who is here, she's in the back of the room now, to sign up. The newsletter is electronic, but if you want a hard copy, we could certainly print it out. It's not the New York Times, believe me, or the Wall Street Journal, but it is a review of what's going on in our community, which unfortunately in the media today, you don't get a whole heck of a lot locally. And we've talked to the press about it. I'll be open and honest. I don't feel that the level of communication and the coverage is nearly what it used to be. And people in general always went to that. You didn't have to read it all in one night. You can put it on your nightstand, put it on your coffee table, look at it over the weekend, but it was full of Ridgefield information. And that's what we're trying to do with the newsletter now electronically, but we will print it out for you if you need a hard copy, you don't have a computer. It's important information about the boards, committees, commissions, what they're doing, some of the hot topics. For example, housing. That's been a very hot topic over the last couple of years, especially at the state, the impact on our municipality, what we're doing, and a lot of other updates. So sign up. All of this is in the back. Pick one of these up. I also wanted to take advantage of today, before I introduce Kenn, to 2 programs. One is the tax credit program, the $1,048 that any household that is over 65, regardless of your income, you can qualify. It's $1,048. But what's important that I wanted to say today is that it hasn't gone up at all the last several years. We used to have 2 gentlemen, a Pete Masagli, who did a lot of work volunteering in our community, and Marty Carr. Some of you may recall, both of them have left us, and no one really filled the void, but believe me, they were in my office all the time demanding an increase. You have to consider the seniors every year, and we haven't. So it's time to revisit that. We want to increase the 1,048. How much? I don't know. It'll be up to the Board of Selectmen. Sean Conley is here, right here, listening today. I'm sure he'll be part of that conversation actively. And it's time that we look at that. But the deadline, more importantly, for this year is April 1st. So if any of you who are over 65 years of age and have not applied for that tax credit of $1,048 off your tax bill, please do so. Contact Mr. Al Garzi at the assessor's office, okay? And if you forget or you don't write the number down and you remember it as a later date, before April 1st, you've got to get signed up. The second program is a tax deferment program. And this is a program that a lot of people say, no, I don't want to do that. If there's anything I worked for in my life, It was to pay off my house, and I did that. It's the only thing I can give to my children. I am not going to jeopardize anything along that line. However, I did it for my mom because as she got up in years, where I am now, it's amazing how time goes by. But she would call me and say, I need more money. I need more money. And I said, Ma, where are you going? You don't need any money. She said, no. And every time she looked in her checkbook, she didn't feel that independence financially. And that's a very serious concern that none of us want to become the burden to our children, right? We want to maintain our independence. We want to take care of ourselves and have our kids live a happy life without having to deal with their mother or father coming to live with them. The tax deferment program is probably one of the most flexible programs you could take advantage of. First, you need to be 65. You need to make under $65,000 per year, and that's something we'll address. We may raise that to 75, and that's the bottom line on your income tax for your household. That's everyone in the household. But if you meet that criteria, you can defer, not pay, anywhere from 2%, 20% to 100% of your taxes. And it's a simple interest of 3%. The Board of Finance looks at that every year. I think it's currently 3% simple interest. And we do put a mortgage on the property because someday when you pass, or if you sell your home, decide to move, then the town can recoup that. With my mom, it gave her that financial security that she was looking for. It wasn't a lot of money back then, but it served its purpose. And we paid it off when she passed. And it was a very simple program and helped her a great deal. And I think if you need surgery, if you need dentist work, whatever it is, and you don't have the money, go see Garzi, fill it out, because that's an opportunity for you to create extra funding and not worry about your own health and maintaining your independence. And that's critical. So in the back of the room, there's this matrix of programs. There are many, many programs. For your information, the homeowners over 65, we have 2,000 households, 65 years of age and older, that are taking advantage of that tax credit. I think we probably have a few more. As far as the town deferment, we have 60. I should go this way, right? 60. And the homeowners on the circuit breaker, which is a state tax deferment program, I think that's an abatement. Tony, are you here? Is it an abatement? Well, it's a subsidy that you received. And there are 60 people on that as well. So there are opportunities for those of you who do need assistance, and that's important because we need you here. We want you to stay here. We want you to be members of our community. We want to hear your voices. We want you to be part of the whole process that makes Ridgefield the wonderful community that it is. So those were the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit today. More importantly, and we can get into it a little later, will be the presentation by Mr. Kenn Devane. So at this time, please join me in welcoming Mr. Kenn Devane.
Good afternoon, folks. We were together back when we first started this journey. Maybe it was June, July, August sometime, and we talked about the survey. And now we're here to deliver the results. So it's been roughly a 9-month journey. And when Joe was mentioning senior voices, I wanted to say you are the senior voices, and thank you for those voices that you're about to see up here on the screen. So I'm going to run through a bunch of slides. Unfortunately, I have to show all the data, and I struggled with how can we make this simple and easy and not too confusing, because it's a lot of data. This is a broad-based, lots of questions survey, because we were trying to find a benchmark, a foundation, see what the issues are, and then going forward, drill down on those issues. That's why we asked you also for your year of birth, because we wanted to break it down by 60, 70, and 80, look back at the questions and see if they changed as people age, the thinking being the older you are, the more resources you need, perhaps the more you'll rely on the town to do that. So we're going to go through a lot of that. I'll do it slowly, but because there's so much we need to get through it all, I'd ask you to hold on to questions. I will answer every question for you. And then we're going to post all this on the town website. This is not the full deck. This is just cut down to get through this here. And there's a lot of animations, so we'll slide and bring new slides up and do all that. But when we first started out, I'm 70, and I don't know the 80 experience yet. I know the 60 experience. But I have a lot of folks that I interact with around the town. And I want to mention just 4 of them who road tested this with me before we put it to paper. Judy up front here, Lynette back there, Mary Laura, Dorothy. I was running questions by them all the time saying, what do you think of this one? Well, this one works. This makes sense. Would this be important to you? So they were all great in giving me their time and their opinions. And I would say that all of you who filled these surveys out were great in terms of your opinions. And on the paper ones, I knew you were enjoying it because we saw a lot of coffee stains stirred on top of the papers as you were filling it out, stopping and thinking we were filling. So it was a lot of fun to be with you, kind of removed. So there was hang on with me 1 second. There was a deck up here on top of the sheet that is now missing. There. Let's see. So Andy or Brenda or Joe, the deck that was up here, or Rudy. Rudy has it packed up in his stuff. Rudy. Yes.
You can have, this isn't your.
That's it. That's me. Yep.
I have notes in
It'll be secret. Oh, no, this is not, wait, that's not it. That's not it. So, all right, listen, we'll do it extemporaneously. That's fine. No problem.
Is that going?
That's it. Nope, that's not it. Rudy, don't worry about it. That's not it. That's fine. No, it says Kenn. No, that's fine. Okay, here we go. So just a little explanation about how we got here. There are roughly 8,000 55 plus folks in town. And we asked the town to get us a list of the people, and we did not have email addresses, and we wanted to keep it anonymous. So we went to our partners in town, the library, RBNA, Founders Hall, and we said, here are the list of people who are 55 plus. Match this against your files and send the link out. And that's how it got distributed to, I think, more than it probably went out, 10,000 people at that point. We did not ask for your name and address. We asked for your birth year. To further do that, as I said, we just asked that they go to the emails. We got to Rides Ridgefield, Meals on Wheels. We went to the condo and the apartment complexes, the churches, and others in an attempt to make sure everyone knew it was available. We printed copies of the survey, put them in town hall, put them in the lobbies of all these places, trying to get to as many of you as we could. We thought we would have volunteers going door to door to offer it. And it's one of those things, once you get into it and realize you have to be certified, there's all kinds of liability going to someone's home. It just got a little crazy. So we said, okay, let's just offer it to everybody and we'll have to go with that. So it was also up on the town website announcing it as well. So here you go. 8,000 folks. We sent out the emails to 6,639 actually opened the survey. So we know you received it. And of that, 1,999 took the survey. The paper surveys submitted 165, got back to us for a total of 2,156. So that is about a 27% response rate, which is phenomenal considering there was no incentive to take it. You had to volunteer your time to do it and take the time. And it was not a short survey. Put it in perspective. 2021 AARP did a membership survey to 171,000 members and got back roughly 20,000 responses. That's 12%. So thank you again for your senior voices. So overall in Ridgefield, 25,000 folks. This comes off the census updated to 2021. Males, 12,325. Females, just edging us out, 12,823. Not too concerned about this breakdown here because it breaks it differently than we did. But this is interesting. We account for 35% of all the folks in town. Meaning our voice is the biggest voice. And I don't necessarily think our voice is the loudest voice. But because we're so polite and kind and confident and good looking, who cares, right? Anyway, I thought that was just a way to play it out there. So they should be listening to us. Gender, survey respondents now, 2/3 women, 1/3 men, and there is your breakdown by 80s, 70s, 60s, 90 on the top, and the 50s on the bottom. So we have a nice round group of people to work with. We're not skewed heavily in one direction or another, which means that the responses pretty evenly represent everybody who chose to participate. So now what I have here is a summary that just tells the quick story in bite-sized bits. We'll get into the deeper part, but I wanted you to understand that 56% have lived in Ridgefield 26 years, 24% 40 plus years. 64% live with a spouse or a partner, 25 alone. 70% single family home, 86% own it. You know all this. But we look to validate and verify this information by your responses so we know we're going in the right direction. 75% want to live independently. 91% have no limitations on living in their home. This is the first of a bunch of surprises I'm going to show you. 92% have a contact person in the event of emergency. 90% play pickleball. Congratulations. 59% want to stay in Ridgefield as they age. It'll be interesting when you see the comments that people have about that and why, if they do leave, they want to leave. 70% rate their health as excellent or very good. 82% engage in exercise up to several times a week. 76% do not need a caregiver. 82% say disabilities don't hamper them. 99% say they can get to their medical appointments and take their medication. That's a pretty healthy crowd. Now, go back to what I said before about the distribution between 60, 70, and 80. I thought we might see a tail off at 80, but in some cases, the 80s are even stronger than the 70s and 60s. (97) agree the town parks are well maintained and safe. 75 say Ridgefield is an excellent place to live. 94% feel that the library is a positive response in our town. That's what we're here today. 56% say Founders Hall is great. And on average, 87% of respondents use some type of technology. There too, we thought the 80, and there is some differences there, but not a lot. The 80 folks are pretty smart with their smartphones. So a bit about these slides. There's a lot of these. I tried to make them larger so you can see it. We put the screen on the back in case you can't see the numbers. But if I say 94% are not wheelchair limited and you don't understand the number that I'm talking about, it's meaningless. So on the right-hand side, you'll see the number of responses to the question, to this portion of the question, and the non-respondents. That totals up to 2156. And I'd love to put them up there and not have that, but I've got to show that if you're thinking how meaningful or statistically reliable is that number. The thing that is shockingly great about this is that we're all in 85, 94% folks are not inhibited by wheelchair, mobility, disability, hearing ability, mental health, and dementia. Now, we all know there are people who are, and they are over here. But by and large, as a group, we're doing pretty well. How frequently do you interact with your friends, family, or neighbors in person? More than once a day, 57% with your family. Friends, several times a week at 45%. And the neighbors slide had me scratching my head. Because generally we live closest to our neighbors. And this is in person, so you see them taking out the garbage, bringing in the mail. But look at the numbers there, particularly 74% never. Now, this is why this number is important, because as a base, it's only 53 responses, meaning most people didn't answer the question. In fact, I would say that almost every survey was not totally 100% complete. Some people didn't answer one or two questions coming across. And we just simply have to factor that into our numbers here. So how about the internet? Connect by telephone, email, social media, Facebook. This comes down pretty dramatically here. Once a week, we talk to our family online, friends several times a week, and they're the neighbors again are falling off. So I don't know that it means we have to go out and go knock on our neighbors' doors, but it is interesting. If we're so healthy and we're so mobile that we're not interacting with those folks more than we are. Interesting as well. In a typical month, how many times do you, at least 0 to 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 5, go to the doctor, play pickleball? I wondered if there was a correlation between the pickleball and the doctors. 2 or 3, go shopping. Obviously, we all go shopping pretty often, and go to the pharmacy. But this is kind of the fun stuff when you see what people are doing with their time. How do you typically get to your activities? Drive myself 85% of the time, including our 80-year-olds who don't want to give up their cars for obvious reasons here. Ride with a family member? Not really. Ride with a healthcare? Never, not at all. And as you look at these numbers, I want you to say to yourself, is this us? Is this me? Is this representative of what I do and how I live? Here's where we start to run into some difficulties. We know transportation is a challenge, and you're telling us loud and clear with the red numbers here, Sweetheart rides for Ridgefield, Town Bus, Lyft, Uber, Norwalk Bus, Metro North. They're out there, but we're not using them. Whatever it is that you've got scheduled is not working for my schedule. And many times what I'm going to say here today, and we'll talk about the 3 T's, taxes, transportation, traffic, and the S is sidewalks. But we all know the 3 T's. Rudy knows it better than anyone in terms of those are going to be issues that we have to address. Again, you're just confirming in the survey, this is an issue. It's not gone away. And ultimately, what are we going to do about it? Personal safety, 92% of you can go somewhere or call someone if you have a problem, which is great. We asked about the file for life. And we had 509 people gave us their phone numbers to get a file for life. I'm an ex-fireman and an EMT. I think this is great to walk in the door and at least know a little bit about you. I talked to Jerry, the fire chief, and he makes a good point. Many times the data that's in there is obsolete by the time we get there. So it's almost like we're going in blind anyway, just to be safe. I'm looking more about you. If you take the time and the discipline to fill this out and put it up there, then we know you're taking care of yourself. We know you are aware of yourself. And that only makes you a better patient in the event we have to come get you. So we will be getting these to you. We have to figure out how to get out to 500 people. I think Joe and Lisa can be very busy running around doing that, but we will get it to you. Equally important, we had 497 people say they'd like to be part of Ridgefield Alerts. And since you gave us your phone numbers, we will be programming you into that system. What I like about it is we're all better off if we have a two-way relationship. And if you're interacting with Ridgefield, it only leads to good things. And so it's not the nature of the alert. It's not the nature of what we're saying. It's the fact that we're talking to each other. That can't hurt. Okay, in a typical month, how many times do you obtain your meals based on the following? 7 times a week, shop for myself, no surprise there. If you're in a facility, 99% of the times at least once. is coming in the facility. I thought that 2 to 4 times a week, restaurant takeout and delivery was pretty interesting. But here again, here's where you are. Most of you, just like you're driving yourself, you're feeding yourself. Are you able to get adequate quality of food and meals? It's an amazing number, right? 84% of you strongly agree that you are. So we thought, well, that number has to fall apart when we break it down by ages, but it doesn't. 85% is 60-year-olds, 88% is 70-year-olds, 77%, and if I add agree, 97% of 80-year-olds say they're getting their food. And again, we know that there's many people who are not, but the bulk of you would appear to be in pretty good shape. Are you able to afford these monthly expenses? We broke it out by 60, 70, and 80. There is absolutely no difference. By the way, too, I should say, we compared the paper surveys to the online surveys. They're exactly the same. So I'm sure there are some who can't say this, but for the most part, we are. And your future. 59% want to stay in my residence and not move. So let's find out why. This is called a word cloud. Generally speaking, the bigger the font, the more times we picked up that word in the algorithm. It just means visually, I saw this more often. So living, family, closer ties, taxes, I'll make it easier for you. These were the topics that people talked about when they talked about leaving. See if any of this is familiar to you. If they're going, most of the time it's because the kids either taking care of them or them taking care of grandkids. Followed by cost of living. I'm sure some of these sound familiar to us as well. And finally, everybody's favorite. You know, this one in particular, my home is not accessible for aging in place. Taxes are too high. Our home is larger than we need. How many people have a house that's falling down around them and they can't do anything about it? And taxes are going up on the house. So now it's more expensive to live there. Some people struggle. We know that. So, in general, how would you rate your health? Right? Terrific. Let's break that down. 60-year-olds, 78%, excellent or very good. 68, 70 or 79, and even our 80-year-olds are in pretty good shape. Now, this is a self-assessment of how you're doing, and if you're not, this would be the time to let us know. You'll notice that instead of looking at 1,000 numbers, we're now down to these breakdown here by the age break, which is why you see a lower number there. I love this one. How often do you engage in some exercise? That's 82% in the red numbers, folks. Breaking it down, 85% 60s, right? 74% 70s. And how about the 89-year-olds? So we're eating okay. We're keeping up with the money. We're exercising. Health is okay. We can get around. I have to think this makes you Ridgefield pretty unique, which is another reason why we all want to be here. How much did you benefit from in-home care for yourself? Now, I thought these numbers might be higher, but the only one that really popped here was housekeeping. So let's take a look. 60-year-olds, 4%, 70-year-olds, 8%, 80-year-olds, 13%. which would make sense, is the slower you get, the more you need some help. But I'm seeing housekeeping pop in a few of these things. We'll see some more later on. That would appear to be an area where some people could use some help. Another word diagram here. This is the word we're focusing on. Now, this one is a bit of an eye chart because I wanted to put a lot of comments up here because it varies. So I apologize, it's so small, we couldn't get it larger, but just a couple of things that popped out. A service like visiting angels so I can get some time off. We heard that a lot. I need a break. A companion for a couple of hours, a companion for my husband. I'm nervous about the future health problems for me and my husband. A cleaning service for a couple of hours. This is a great one. Tech support. My computer's not working. Need help buying one. What if that was a town service? What if that was a volunteer who used to be an IBMer? But it's a point. That's why I wanted you to see this. By the way, we have thousands and thousands of these kinds of comments through the survey. And I promise you, Rudy has read every one of them because I gave them all to him. Broke it out by topic, by question. I said, here's your one. And I know he did because we've talked about it. So please don't think that you put it out there, we didn't pay attention to it. It's too important to not pay attention to. Do any of these apply to you? Once again, look at the no's. Except for personal emergency response lifetime pending. I have a neighbor across the street. He's 86, she's 85. I'm routinely in their house at 3 o'clock in the morning because when he went into the bathroom in his walker, he's fallen backwards and he can't get up. But he refuses to get a pendant. He'd rather call me. It's not bad. I get 500 an hour. It's easy. But it occurred to me, let's see how this breaks down. 60-year-olds, 1%. 70s, 3%. 80s, 13%. What if the town, and we're not saying we should do this, but what if we figured out and we got a company that makes pendants, give them to us for free in exchange for putting a billboard up or something for them? All I'm saying is if the reason they're not getting it is they can't afford it, I'm sure there's also some legal things. At least let's take a look at it. Because if they get a half an hour jump on a bloody head on the floor in the bathroom, we might save their lives. That's got to be worth it. Just saying. Okay, do you agree or disagree with these public spaces in Richmond? Now, this is interesting because we see a lot of comments about sidewalks. So when they write out and complain about the sidewalk, they really give it to us. But on here, they're saying, you know, they're not too bad. Sidewalks are accessible, traffic signs are easy to read. They're just not followed. Parks are well maintained and safe. Public areas are great. The one thing I highlighted just because the number was the lowest, restrooms for folks with physical disabilities. How would you rate Ridgefield as a place to live as you age? 75% say perfect. Despite the 3 T's, I'm good. Organizations with senior programs, rec center, Founders Hall, library, and then you've been there in the last 30 days. And overall, our membership organization scored very well across the board in terms of your responses. Thinking about the library, how about these numbers? Congratulations, Brenda, Andy, and company. Everyone felt very good about the services that you get from the library. They did ask how convenient would it be to participate. Most people say about even, whether they're in person or online. In person winning out slightly. Founders Hall, 56% are members and participate. 41 are aware but not a member, and 3 not aware at all. It's hard to imagine you'd not be aware of Founders Hall in this time. But again, just validating the survey. Some people are not. So here's an eye chart for you, and I had to put it up because this is how we asked the question. We had 2 questions that we thought would be kind of interesting to kind of rate passion. And that is to say, we asked you to take the topic and number 1 or 7 or whatever, and just rank what was most important to you. We had heard the problem found as falls apart. Everybody hates the park. But as you see here, offer programs that fit my interests is actually number 1, and parking is down the list. Yes, it's important, but programs that fit your specific needs was more. That's the kind of stuff that we're looking for in here. By the way, 1,900 people did not fill this out. 240 people did fill it out, which proves to us it was a little too complicated for most folks. Good to see it, but we would not use this kind of question in the future. It was one more, the one that was pointed out. It was the same thing where it was a scale of 10, feel really good about it, feel neutral, really hate it. We wanted to try and find the passion. The passion wasn't coming out of that question at all. So we didn't, it's not included on this deck right now. Okay, tell us about personal technology. How about those numbers? And we thought, well, does this change as we get older? And the only place it really changes is medical prescriptions, online medicine, if you will, and you order food. Look at the 60-year-olds ordering food online versus the 80-year-olds ordering food online. It's a tale of two cities. And then, but our folks, 60-year-olds, 23% say no, they do not renew prescriptions, but 38% of the 80-year-olds do. Congratulations, right, on using that technology. Do you agree or disagree about volunteer initiatives? Now, we can spend a lot of time talking about this because we've seen a lot of these where the numbers that agree are in the 80s and 90s, not so much here, which tells us there's room for improvement. And as we talk about things that people need, whether it's companionship or help in the house or technology support, maybe that's something that volunteers can do if they want to be active and help people out. And again, going back to my opening line, this is a broad, you almost call it an omnibus survey, but this is the kind of stuff we're looking for to start to drill down into. What's out there? And we know that, people here will come back and answer the questions for us. Are you aware of the support programs the town of Ridgefield offers? And I highlighted some of the ones in red, the higher numbers here. But again, as you can see from the ones on the no side, some room for improvement as we go through there. And these are areas that we could all focus on as well, thinking about how we're going to help the town going forward. And so here are some priorities. This was the last question in the survey. What's the one most important thing? We really wanted you to focus and give us one answer. That didn't work either. We got a lot of answers from folks. You're not going to get away with just one. So I just highlighted, there's your 3 T's and an S down the end there. But I broke these up into these segments so they'd be easier to read. Get rid of the traffic jams. Danbury Road, any surprise? Farmingville Road, love that intersection. Enforce traffic laws. I might get killed in a crosswalk, where are the police? Reduce taxes, very little offered besides school and roads. C deduction is paltry. Keep the real estate taxes down. We long ago paid for our kids to use the schools. These have to resonate with you. This is you. This is me. Additional door-to-door transportation beyond Ridgefield. Low-cost door-to-door transportation, and they need to be on my schedule. Here's the sidewalks. And let me read it to you. Repair the sidewalks on Main Street, especially in front of Ballard Park. Many people I know have fallen on Main Street due to the broken concrete, including myself. This might be a total of one person. Got all the time. Extend, improve, and maintain the sidewalks in Ridgefield. Every year, Ridgefield should endeavor to add 1 mile of sidewalks to the network, upgrade 2 miles. You've got a sidewalk commissioner in the works here. Might be helpful for you. This is great though, because you sat down for what had to have taken you 45 minutes. And at the end on the last question, you're still full of vigor to get those questions out. So, in going through this, we read it over and over and over again. And after a while, we only start to see the bad stuff. And I thought it would be fun to end this report on some of the good stuff, but I wanted to go back to the handwritten surveys that we got, just so you can see what people said starting here. So hard to read the scribble, but here's what they said. I cannot think of one thing. I am content, satisfied with Ridgefield, and love living here. And by the way, all of us in this room have said the same thing at one point or another. How about this? It's up to each of us to improve our lives, not the town. And Rudy didn't write this. Get new shock absorbers for the Sphere bus. Those of you who have gone bouncing around on it, right? As I said, you're not shy about what you have to talk about, which is great. It's a wonderful place to live. I'm glad I'm here. Meals on Wheels, fantastic, fantastic people. It's beautiful. And for anybody who's driven Meals on Wheels or participates in it, to see somebody like this, and we have no idea who this is, but to come out and say, you people are fantastic. You know you're making a difference. There's the reward. Have a shorter, more targeted survey. Most of this didn't apply to my age group at all, and my answers will skew the results of those older folks. Now we saw, no, they don't. But what I found interesting about this is that, let's assume this person is not 60, maybe in their 50s. All of us sitting here are giving this person a roadmap. Here's what's coming. Why would you not want to know that? I'm doing you a favor. So it's just, you know, I hope they read the full survey when it gets out there and they can enjoy the fruits of our labor. How about that? So here's one for Tony and Karen. I'm grateful for social services, Karen and Tony. Excellent. And now my personal favorite for all the guys and all the gals out there. Tell me you haven't thought of this one. We'll take a list if you like. We'll keep it up here with us. And the last one is not moving. Hang on, let's try it this one. There you go. Okay, last one. Just keep what you keep doing, I guess, for seniors, and thank you for all you do. Thank you for taking the time to take the survey. Share your thoughts with us so we can in turn share them back with you. I will put the full survey up. There's about 20 more slides. We'll put it up on the town website. If anyone would like a copy, we will put a link on it as well, so you can download a copy of it as well. One thing I'd like you to think about, now that we've got the big one out of the way, I would like to suggest to Joe and Rudy that we do smaller surveys, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We ask 10 questions about a specific topic before we have votes, referendums, budgets, whatever, so that you can say, I went out to the people and this is what the people thought. At the very least, we might feel that you are still listening to us when you have important decisions to make. You know, you'd have to get it back to us. We'd say, let's do it online. We got a week. You promised to get it back. And we start doing that over and over and over again. And we start to benchmark it. How are we doing? We going up? We going down? That's just free learning that we can all benefit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken. This on. Thank you, Ken. He did such a wonderful job on a volunteer basis, so. We paid him a little bit, not a lot, believe me. But we would like to go, Joe, to Q&A. Right? Do you want to come down? Ken, do you want to come back down? There could be. Okay. So we'll open it up to questions from the floor if anyone has any further information you would like. Yes.
I have a comment more than a question. I don't know how many people have heard But, you know how unnerving it is when your smoke detector keeps chirping, especially in the middle of the night? And for those of us who can't get up on a stool or get a screwdriver or whatever needs. Plus, I have a husband who's profoundly deaf. We use sign language. So the jealousy of him being able to get a good night's sleep and I'm up trying to do something. Well, several occasions I've had the Ridgefield Fire Department come to help me out and they've been very gracious. But the last call that I made to them, because I paid to have someone come in with all new smoke detectors. I paid for the equipment and the labor, came to several hundreds of dollars, which was fine in our case, but for some people that might be a burden. But there was one bedroom I forgot about on the 4th floor. So lo and behold, it started chirping. When I called the Ridgefield Fire Department, and this is the good news that I have for those of you who don't know, Red Cross has a free service where they provide smoke detectors and even strobing light equipment free. Now, I'll begin to have to get on a wait list, but they do come to the home, and I live right up the block in Quail Ridge, right across from the pool, the corner unit.
We have other.
And there, they came and they installed it. It took about a couple of months. And I wanted to know why this isn't put in the book and, let more people know about this free program. So I'd like that published in the book.
We will do that.
Thank you.
Very good. I wasn't even aware of the Red Cross program myself.
Yeah. That's good.
I've got it, I've been here my whole life,
So far.
and if you want to go ahead, Rudy, I'm happy to. So long that I remember the highway department going by in a dump truck with Chick-Chicoli in the back of the dump truck, throwing a little bit of sand out when they got to a hill in the back of the dump truck. I'm astonished at the service that the highway department provides, where out in the middle of nowhere, they go by our house half a dozen times with a plow and a sander. And can they hear? Can you hear me now? Anyway, I do want to compliment them. I mean, it's just a fantastic operation that they do. I just marvel at their service. Same with the fire department. We've had them out a couple of times. And those people are a great, great benefit. Something you already know.
Yeah, thank you.
But
It's always nice
the
to hear.
roads is always an issue. And I mean, I'd love to hear you talk for an hour about how you're going to fix the roads because it's just ice.
It's only money. We spend about $3 million a year on our roads. But thank you for mentioning the fire department, highway department. There's not a lot of thank yous that go out to the guy that sits in a truck all hours of the night, trying to make the roads as passable as they can for the morning. So it's nice to hear the thank yous. That's always appreciated. One thing, Chief Leachy, we were having a meeting, a staff meeting, and he looked at then Chief, I think it was Lou Yerish, and he said to Lou, I want to tell you something. People are happy when you come to see them. That's why you get the donation you get. But the police, people aren't so happy when we come to them. So the police are yet another real asset to our community. Most of you know, we have one of the safest communities in Connecticut and general areas, so we attribute that to our police department. We have good employees. Thank you.
Rudy, last year you were at the Ridgefield Men's Club, and you promised us just a small increase in taxes. Mine went up 11%.
I promise you one.
No, small increase in tax last year. I don't recommend.
Your taxes, was it because of the rebound? Everyone's
No, there was
asking for.
No, but last year we went up 11%.
Yeah, taxes did go up depending on where you live. Mine went up 20, believe it or not. But it was because of the rebound and location. I live in Main Street. I love it there, but you pay for that too. And we had a 20% increase in in taxes because the value of the properties went up so much. Others came down, the commercial properties, retail space came down. So it had to be balanced by the increase in the residential. Last year, I think we went up under 2%. So 1.5, somewhere in there. We try to keep, and hopefully we'll get there this year. Currently, the budget increase would be a little over 3%, but we have to have the, Board of Finance do their work. For example, just today, we received confirmation that yes, the $700,000 check you got from the state is real. Go ahead and put it in the bank. We didn't forecast that. So the Board of Finance will have that money to use, possibly, hopefully, to help hold down the mill rate that we're looking at right now. But that process is all good. We have a public hearing on March 25th at East Ridge Middle School that I invite you all to listen to the details of the budget for the 25 fiscal year.
He has a quick question here and then.
I just wanted to mention that if I'm carrying something heavy, I live in a condo, and sometimes if someone is walking by, one of my neighbors, they will come and help me. I know it's happened to me many, many little times, and it's very helpful, because some of the packages that you have to carry from the store are heavy, so they will help you. I think it's really wonderful. I've had people maybe 4 or 5 times, they see me struggling, they will come and help.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful.
Thank you. Compassion, very important in our community. Hope you all practice it.
Thank you very much for this meeting. It's the first time that I see, and I like to, I'm sorry. And I don't have the survive for all the questions, and I live in the North Seattle region in 51 across the bridge. And we don't have the survive for these questions in that building. We are lack of information from the Ridgefield Housing Authority in 51 Prospect. These buildings and apartments, driveway, garden, need repair for many years. As seniors who live there and to be able to walk around and be paying in wheelchairs with the walker or walking around, there's no place to walk there. And it's no happy place. We try to be happy, we try to tell them, but there's no way to communicate with the administration. And please try to take attention. It's a wonderful housing, but we need more attention for the town, for the people. And I don't know why it's not enough, it's more people in town to run the business for the Ridgefield Housing Authority. We need 5 people in Hartford or in Trafford, but it's no communication. When I go to the housing authority, the answering service to take the message and they don't call us back. We don't have the information necessary we need, and sometimes we don't know nothing. The people in the congregate building, they don't let me go in. I don't know what is the problem. And Dr. Shepherd told me, you are not allowed to go to congregate. How we can find a happy place in this town? And I hope we can try to investigate. Thank you.
Monica, I don't want to put you on the spot, but since you're here representing the housing authority, you have a response?
Governor, I can hopefully respond. What is that? We have an appointed Ridgefield Housing Authority. They're an authority. They're a function of the state Department of Housing and the Department of Economic Community Development. So the town board of selectperson appoints to the Ridgefield Housing Authority. We do not have jurisdiction over the properties they have, like that Valley Green Prospect Bridge. And I know you're concerned with the general maintenance. Is that what it is?
The construction of the building in apartments.
Construction of the building and the apartments, yeah. There's a good address, and living there, doing a lot of damage.
Is damage that are being damaged or?
No, it's natural for the body. It's not common for the.
Well, then, you know, it's damn you, be damned if you don't. If you raise the rents and help generate the money to do more painting, to do more carpentry work, et cetera, et cetera. But they try and keep the rents down because it is affordable. And that's what the,
And I don't mean to interrupt, the first selectman, but I want to tell you that a woman standing to my right is Monica Strongwell. She's one of the, leaders for everyone else at the Ridgefield Housing Authority. And if you were happy that we have a survey, the reason that we have a survey is because when I first met Monica, when I got involved with Commission on Aging, she said, no, Joe, I think the first thing you need to do is a survey. And she's probably among the most dedicated people that I've ever met in terms of working with the people that are at the Ridgefield Housing Authority. And we had Wade Rockwood speak recently to one of these, also equally dedicated person. But let's have Monica respond to it.
That's fine. I'm the resident service manager. I do, referrals and social programming and, working with all the residents for the Ridgefield Housing Authority. And as Joe said, I'm the reason for the survey. I have a long commitment to social advocacy, for government agencies within Connecticut and in New Jersey as a former elected official. Thank you all for being here. Advocacy for all people in abilities is a passion of mine. I'm on numerous task force for the town of Ridgefield and for the town I reside in, which is Weston. As Ms. Barone has stated, she is a resident in one of our facilities. The congregate facility is a secure facility for those residents, which is why there is no entry unless you're a guest. And that is because of the programming it is. Our buildings are, of course, older and they require requests for bids to get all work done, and they're mandated by the housing authority through the state and programming. Yes, they are old. Yes, they need work. There's a competitive bid process and CNAs and all those things, just like when you have older homes and everything. I wish there was money to repair every unit, just like my older home in Weston. But we work diligently to provide safe, affordable homes for those in need in Ridgefield. And if Ms. Brown needs anything, she always knocks on the door and I do let her in.
Many times they are not in the office and speak to them. I'm sorry. The Ridgefield Housing Authority sent me the state marshal, Joe Nicholas, with a letter with the 8 page. I don't know why, and they don't want I speak with nobody.
All right, I have another question.
Hi, I'm a walker.
I need to turn that on.
Yes, thank you. I'll be very loud noise. I'm a walker and I like to walk and I have difficulty. They put in a beautiful new walkway down off of Grove Street Extension. I almost got hit the other day by a car attempting to walk to it. So it's a walkway from no access for either end. Do you know what I'm referring to? Would it by the landfill?
The old quarry road. Yes, old quarry road.
Are you planning to put some connecting?
Yes.
Okay, that would be helpful because I really think it's not safe right now because I can't get there. And the other thing is if you go out to go to Founder's Hall and you're a walker, sidewalks end, there's no crosswalk nor no light to get in and out of the driveway. That's a big issue. I'm sure I'm alone in that.
No, that's been an issue for years, the entrance to Founder's Hall, the rec center. It'll cost us about $250,000 to $300,000 to put it in. We had several people in the area that were going to do developments. They had agreed to put it in, but they never materialized. So yes, we do have to address that, but if you're a walker, you can cross at Cops Hill and walk down that side of the street. We're going to be, excuse me, you can't. We're doing that sidewalk next year. you know where the walking bridge is?
Yeah.
The sidewalk from that point all the way up to Top Hill, we've already got the quotes in, and we have the money set aside to do that sidewalk. So that'll be happening next year, so you can walk from Founder's Hall, Rec Center, up to Top Hill, across the Farmville, up the Legion Way. The following year, we hope to complete it going across over to the Goodwill trailer, and then there'll be a switchback up to the rail trail that will take you all the way to Florida Road for walking.
I live in a 55 plus condo building in Ridgefield, and, I live in a 55 plus condo building in Ridgefield, and we have, a number of residents who are unable to take care of themselves alone. And I'm grateful that you're a good neighbor to your neighbors, and we are trying to be good neighbors to these people. However, when we try to contact their families, we'll be there on Monday. I've gone to the senior, the services here in Ridgefield, it's called the state won't answer. Suppose these people that are not compassmentous leave their gas on, leave their, whole building is at risk, and it's so frustrating for me. And when I see these survey results, I think, what town is this? These are self-reporting, and that's a pretty, unscientific sample. I'm grateful that these are the wonderful responses that we get, but in my building, it doesn't seem to be.
Where is your building?
Danbury Road, it's the new building by the Founder's Hall. So I don't know what to do with that number.
Yeah, one thing you can do
Thank
is find the neighborhood association right there in the middle. To see what people are willing to help out and give aid.
But if their families are not responsive.
If the families are unresponsive, that's a tough one. I know Tony deals with that every day.
Any other questions? Plenty of time. Going once, oh, here we go.
Battery's low. Why is it?
I would like to.
It's okay.
Pass the mic.
They're
Okay.
passing the mic right now in the group.
Hold it right in front of you.
Now this is. I want to thank everybody who worked on the survey. I thought it was a good one. I had one hesitation when I took it because I am blessed with being hale and hearty, and I don't need right now the services are being made, transportation, etc. And there was no opportunity to say, to answer, are you interested in these services in the future? I will need transportation, I will need RV, but there was no opportunity for me to indicate that I'm interested in those services continuing, because down the road, I'm going to need them too. So that's that, but it was a great survey, and I'm very happy that I was in Ridgefield. But my big thing has to do with one of the T's that you mentioned, the three T's, which is taxes. And I have an idea that I mentioned once, and I don't know whether it went any place, that most people, a lot of people in this room will love, except for Rudy. And the idea is to create a quarter-century club. When a family has lived in Ridgefield for 25 years, we've all done our volunteer work, our kids are out of school, yes, we need police, etc., but we've done our due diligence, and we love the town and we want to stay here. When we achieve 25 years, freeze our taxes. I don't know how many families there are who will achieve 25 years, but boy, that number one would keep families here, and number two would assuage the tax burden a little bit.
Yeah.
And celebrate these families, put it in the press, have an event for joining the 25-year club, the 40th century club. So sorry, Rudy, but
No, it's okay. That's something that, as we put a committee together to recommend an increase in the tax credit, an increase in the threshold for the tax deferment, the state, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, anything we do, the state has to have enabling legislation. And they did give municipalities the right to freeze taxes at a certain point. So it's always a debate about a means test.